It is not my own manifesto.
Yeah.
It is indeed UPN manifesto.
Okay.
UPN in Lagos State, Ogun State, Oyo State, Akwa Ibom, whatever state is the same. The manifesto remains the same. That is what sets us apart. That's what makes us distinct. Individual governorship aspirants or governors won't just come in and decide, oh, this is what I want to do. You have to toe the line of the party. The party is meant to be for the people. It's meant to consider the people's plight and people's needs. It's government for the people, by the people. So in essence, we need to take into cognizance what the teeming population of Ogun State wants, for their state and for themselves. So it's a generic manifesto, and it's for the entire Nigeria. 4 cardinal points is the same all over.
Now, with what is going on right now in Nigeria, which we know other parts have been talking about corruption, talking about power, talking about. Now, I know that your rural and social development is under that, but power seems to be the main thing right now in Nigeria. Everybody you talk to is like power. Power is affecting unemployment. Power is affecting many things. Do you have plans concerning power? Because some state governors have said that they will do things for their own states in terms of power. They're not going to wait for the federal government anymore. Do you have power? Like somebody said to me today that, look, power, you can't come over it because it's a problem that has been there for a very long time, but it can be reduced. So do you have your own plans for
Yes,
power?
yes, absolutely. First of all, a state that has access to ample, unobstructed water supply should not have problems with power generation. A state like Ogun State, we have rivers, we have our river basins. We shouldn't really be thinking or worried about or having this issue of power generation. God Almighty has given us what we needed. In some countries, they use hydro. In some, they use nuclear. We're not that far advanced yet to be going into nuclear power generation, but we have hydro. What I think, what I see, or what I perceive as a problem in the state, and indeed Nigeria, are the interest groups, the self-interest groups, people that make their living from supplying diesel, people that make their living from supplying generators. It is not in their interest for the power problems of Nigeria to be resolved, because that is their base. That's what they survive on. But Nigeria, in general, with the amount of resources at our disposal, we shouldn't be where we are today. But for corruption, if we devoid ourselves of corrupt leadership or mismanagement of funds, then the issue of power not being sufficient or not being there at all wouldn't come into it. I have a plan to look into the hydro generation, electric hydro generation system that we have in existence in Ogun State. Apart from that, there is something called mini hydroelectric generation, whereby if you go into some civilized countries, in farm settlements, they generate their own power. They just put the hydro generating system in the river that is near to them. If we can have pockets of these kind of things linked to the grid. The other issue is, see, federal government, state government, when we start allowing political intrigues, I am APC, you are UPN, PDP. Therefore, what you want in federal government, I'm going to obstruct it. When we start removing that from our politics in Nigeria, things will start working. When you say you want to supply into the national grid, you will find that somebody, some big shot in his office, who is politically obsessed, would see it as a political thing and say, oh, it's my opportunity to stop PDP from doing this, so therefore I'm going to obstruct it. They keep forgetting that it is not about themselves, it's about the people, the good people of Ogun State and Nigeria as a whole. So we're going to be looking at those freestanding power generation system that which would assist local communities like rural areas to stand alone. But I know that if we don't remove politics from it, the federal government might obstruct us. I'm glad that NEPA has been privatized. Hopefully they will leave to the word privatized and not politicize it. Otherwise there'll be issue of who's going to pay for what. Oh, it's our line. You're putting power into our line. You have to pay this, you have to pay that. And all these things are designed to make life more difficult for the good citizens of Ogun State and Nigeria. It doesn't affect the politicians, it doesn't affect those people, the policy, the so-called warped policy makers.
Yeah, it affects the masses.
It affects the masses. So in terms of power generation, we're going to be looking at it. I'm moving away from, I'm going to encourage the people, encourage the government to move away from generators. In so many ways, the pollution, the sound pollution, what it does to your health is a lot. It's crazy. So we're going to be looking at hydro, stand-alone, independent hydro generation. Pockets of it that's going to be in different places. Of course, cost-effective, because we're not going to be wasting state resources.
Are you sure the likes of the Igbo guys that do bring in the tapas, my neighbor, the Kano, will give their support on that, because that is where they make their money from? And Nigerians have come to believe that a lot of these people bringing in, they believe so much that the people at the top have a hand in it, and that's why they're not bothered about the power. They believe that, okay, these companies are giving governments, something, they take something from it, they are doing business with it and all that. And so how will you, how are you going to put in, solve that part where those companies that bring these things in are in the States, and they don't.
It's very difficult, but also you just have to you have to be bold. You have to have the courage to be wrong when you're wrong, and to be right when you're right. These sets of this group of people that we're talking about, I call them a cartel. They're very, very powerful, and they have a lot of money behind them. Now, that doesn't stop us from challenging them. As this governor of a state, I have some powers to encourage or discourage certain practices. The issue here is that if we make a more cost-effective source of generating power available to the populace, it's going to be very difficult for the likes of the generator importers to break into my state. And when they do, the tax implication will be such that it's going to discourage them and discourage people from even buying
from them.
What I'm saying in essence is that these people cannot survive without the federal government support, directly or indirectly. There is a way the government can use taxes and other system to prevent certain things from happening. If they put a very, very high, unbelievable tax on generators, people will start looking at alternative. It's because it's still affordable. And that's where UPN is, that's where UPN stands. And like I said, UPN is UPN. We are just different in every single way you can think of. What I'm telling you here, pick up the phone and you call Sokoto, you call Kaduna, you call Kano, and speak to any of our governorship candidates. They tell you the exact same thing.
Well, I remember then that there are lots of our parents that have been saying thank you to UPN because of free education, free health, free food. As you go to school, you get Something school dinner, school lunch, and all that. Okay, now before I go to Dr. Latejo, I'm going to ask. Now, corruption is a big case in Nigeria. A very big case. In fact, it's eating deeper than people think. There was a time people thought, okay, every government that comes in is like, we'll solve corruption. We will. It can't be solved. It can't be killed. But they will do something about it. But before you know it, instead of it reducing, it's getting high. Now, what do you think is the problem in Nigeria? Why do you think there's so much corruption? Not because if corruption was with the masses, we would say probably because there's no job and no, but it's not with the masses. Corruption is not with the masses. It is probably in a little way, but the main thing is that corruption is from the top. What do you think is causing all this? What do you think is bringing this?
I think I beg to differ. Corruption is not just government or individuals right at the top.
Okay.
It's now in our system.
Okay.
We need to start re-educating the children. When you send a child to the shop and give him 1,000 naira to go and buy bread or coke, the first instinct is to buy it, he give you the bread and he give you change until you ask for that change. That's a telltale sign. The kids of the Western civilization, the first thing they will give you is your change. And that's your change, that's the bread. Quote me, just watch TV, watch the way
I know what you're saying.
It's the other way around. We need to re-educate our children and family. But in saying that, charity begins at home. And then you have to lead by example. They say if you cannot beat them, you join them. I disagree. If you cannot beat them, you walk away from them. You don't have to join them. UPN is not going to join them. We're here to correct some social ills, and corruption is one of it. If you lead by example, if I lead by example, if I make sure my assets are public, make sure my earnings are public, make sure my business is public, make sure, like we're going to do in UPN, every single debate in the House of Assembly is going to be live. People can see what we're talking about. People can see the members of the House challenging me, asking me questions, me asking them questions. That makes it so public. There's nowhere to hide. And then once you put the policing in the hands of the public, corruption will reduce. If a normal citizen can just walk into the Ministry of Justice, which again we're going to change, walk in the Ministry of Justice and say, I've been hurt, something has happened to me, and they can give that person a lawyer without having to pay a penny. Those are minor things that we can use to control it. It's not going to happen overnight, but I can assure you that the state is as good as the government itself, and the government is as good as the governor that is sitting at the top. If a state is corrupt, don't look too far. Look at the governor, because he must be corrupt.
Okay. All right, Prince. There have been calls coming in. I actually purposely didn't let the calls come in because I know once they start coming in, you won't be able to but we've started getting calls. And before I go to Dr. Latejo, let me take this call. Hello? Hello? Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Patrick, calling from Alagbole.
Oh, Patrick from Alagbole. How are you?
I'm fine.
All right, you want to speak with Prince Paseda, the governorship candidate?
I want to ask you questions from the train.
Okay.
I want to know the connection of this present UPN with the annual 1983 UPN.
Okay.
And secondly, the second question is, there's no doubt that the Senator Ikeja and also is working seriously in the state.
Okay.
And you have to look at it. Senator Ikeja also has all the work in the state. I want to know the magic that
the magic that he will perform. Okay.
Is going to perform about this particular achievement.
Okay.
And for number 3, I want to know I want to know the side of UPN towards the postponement of
the election.
Of this present election.
All right, we're going to come to that. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. He said, mention 3 things. One, he wants to know. I think he probably joined us lately and didn't get to the 1983 award. Yes, and then he also wants to know the magic that will be performed
to surpass
and the third one, the postponement. Well, I was going to come to the postponement, but I just wanted us to say some other things. I think that of the other one, doctor will answer that. Hello? 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 We lost that. Doctor will answer that first question, and then we'll hold on to the calls now, for now, so that you can answer the questions. If we allow them, we'll just keep bombarding with calls. So doctor will answer that first question, which is, he says he wants to know the difference between the present and the past.
As I said earlier on in my opening remarks, the current unity party of Nigeria is not a new party. It is a continuation of the old UPN. And I did say that the oldest party in Nigeria as of today is the Unity Party of Nigeria. So we are not forming a new one. We just resuscitated. When you say resuscitation, it means something that was in existence before, that the job went, but then you started all over to keep moving on. So that's the connection. There's nothing like connection.
It's just
it's the same thing. It's a straight line. So when you're talking about connection, it's just a continuation of where I would left it, and that's exactly what we are doing.
Okay, I'm sure he got that. Yeah. Then he talked about the magic, the idol that you're going to perform in Ogun State to supersede what Amosu has been doing.
Actually, I beg to differ. The caller has a misconception of what we call development. What we have is physical development in the state. Now, from anybody who understands the way a nation develops, you develop the people first, and the people develop the state. What we're having here is the state's being hyped up, wanting to be like UK and US in terms of road and bridges. Well, in actual fact, the people that live in that state are suffering. The countries that we're trying to copy, they took care of their people first. Yeah. They had social security system in place to make sure that the citizens don't suffer. They don't suffer unnecessarily. And by so doing, they increased the living standard of the people. And there is a job, and in turn, people pay their taxes, and the taxes are now used to build the state. What we have here is misplaced priority. Ibukole Amosu, with all due respect, does not have a clue or understanding of how to run a state. You don't run a state by taking care of the structure. You run a state by taking care of the people and let the people take care of, and let the people build the structure for you. We have people hungry. We have people that don't have jobs. We have people that are in markets, that the markets are messed up. We have people that are homeless. Houses that are being built, they can't even afford so-called low-cost housing. Yet, we have people who are at home, not able to go to school because their parents can't afford the school fees. We have people dying unnecessarily because they cannot afford to pay for health services or medication. They sit at home, and that thing that is worrying them is curable, and they die. And yet we're spending billions and billions on building bridges and roads. Who is going to live on the bridges? I mean, how many people actually ply that bridge? Bridges are meant to control traffic. They are a method of controlling traffic and securing lives. When the traffic in that area does not justify bridges, why are you building so much? The resources that are being pushed into so-called infrastructural development, reversed infrastructure development, is enormous. 116 billion. I'm not going to spend 1/10 of that to run the educational system of Ogun State. I think the magic here. It's not a magic. Anybody can understand the concept of let us put the money in education. Let's educate our kids. Let them go out and get, encourage entrepreneurship. Let them get a job. By getting a job, they increase the taxes. We get more taxes from them. Well, let's provide free health. Let them be able to go to hospital and be able to get treatment and be healthy. It's a healthy man that can work. When we've done that, you will find that people are more happier, right? And it is the taxes and the business that's being generated by these same people that we will translate into building bridges and roads. I am not interested in stopping any project that started. We'll continue, we'll finish it up. But I can assure you that I'm not building any bridges. And I'm not building any roads.
Because you are more concerned about
I'm
the welfare
concerned
of
about
people.
the welfare of my people first. Let me take care of the people. We will maintain what we have. UK, there are roads that are over 20 years old. Even longer. They maintain it. They patch it. It's still usable. They don't just knock houses down and start building 6 lanes because they want to look like the US. US and UK are the two countries that you think they like to copy each other, or they like to compete. But what you find is the US have big roads, big cars. UK is not copying them. UK roads are small. Houses are tiny. You live according to the peculiarities of your own country and your state. And that is what we're doing wrong in Ogun State. I think, I read it somewhere, that any government that puts so much priority on road construction and bridges is corrupt. Because that is the only place where they can make so much money for themselves. And I believe if they want to do right by the people, because people are complaining now. The magic is I go to people's doors. I do door to door. I do Jehovah's Witnesses type campaign. I knock on people's doors, and you hear them say, "Shema Shibi Awolowo. Will you really do like Awolowo?" And I say, "Well, God give me the grace. I will." But I can assure you,
so it's Nigerians want to go back to that time,
that
when
era.
where
We all, Amosu himself enjoyed that era. So who is he to just come